They're just going to be part of it. Is it recording?
They're good.
Well, hello, Mother.
Hi.
Welcome to another rendition of me interviewing you. We had attempted to do this before, but there was a little bit of a slip up, and so I appreciate you being willing to do this again. I feel like I am a little bit better prepared. I've done a few more interviews since I did yours. I'm going to start with your full name, if that's okay. May I disclose the middle name? The sacred Swedish middle name.
Born Catherine Morrison.
And you were born when?
September 29, 1962.
Do you know what time you were born?
12:32 p.m. On a Saturday.
On a Saturday? Were you told what the weather was like?
I was not. Did not quite get that detail. That they don't put that part on your birth certificate.
I think I wanted to ask because for some reason I have it in my mind that when I was born there was like a bad snowstorm or something, or like you had to travel. Oh my gosh, really? You had to travel through like a bad snowstorm to get to the hospital, or maybe I'm just making that up because I want to give myself like more
Trauma?
epic lore.
Not sure about a snowstorm. I just know it was brutal cold.
It was super cold. So maybe in my mind I like elaborated it into this like there was a blizzard.
To make it all about you, I know. I understand.
So you are a Libra, born on September 29th.
Mm-hmm.
Do you follow any of that? Does any of that really register to you?
A little bit. I think when I hear some Libra things, I kind of can relate. I don't recall offhand. I don't really recall offhand right now, but when I hear some things, I seem to relate to them.
Okay. Cool. I have kind of been someone who it's kind of fun to think about, and I enjoy seeing different Aquarius beings, especially when they're very applicable. But I don't really like live and die by it, you know. I did learn, I have a book on the occult, and I did learn a little bit more about the history of it, because a big thing for me was, like, I never really knew the history of astrology or where it came from, and therefore it didn't feel valid or real to me. But it's interesting to learn that there's actual, like, centuries of history. I digress. Sorry. So you are a Libra. You grew up in Cicero or in the Austin neighborhood?
Austin, neighborhood of Chicago.
Okay. From what ages?
Through from birth till we didn't move to Cicero until freshman year of high school.
Okay.
We moved to Cicero in the middle of my freshman year of high school, much to my consternation, yes.
Nice word.
Hmm?
I said nice word. That's good. What's your first memory as a child?
Not a lot or super early. My first real memory is probably when I climbed onto an antique table that my grandmother had given us, and it had like a movable antique top, or a movable marble top rather, sorry about that. And I evidently was an adventurer at the time and had to climb on a lot of stuff, and it fell off. I was about three or four, and it fell on my foot, and we had to obviously go to a hospital. It was just sprained, I think, not broken. It was just sprained, and it was around Christmas time. Mm-hmm. And I remember being on crutches and going to look at the Christmas tree. I guess it was Christmas morning, and just seeing the Christmas tree and being on crutches. That's probably like my really earliest.
Interesting.
memory.
How old were you?
I had to be around 4 or 5, and and also around that same time was when I tended to get injured a lot around that time. Also around that time was when they used to have concrete playgrounds before they decided it was a good idea to put grass in playgrounds, and in the Chicago area they used to think it was a good idea to put have concrete and playgrounds and put slides there. And I, also being very adventurous, decided to climb up the slide, a very tall slide, backwards.
Oh, wow.
And my dad took us when Mom was working or whatever to the playgrounds, and I fell off on my face. And it was amusing because my dad really was not cut out for any sort of emergency at all. And my sister was about 2 years old, and he had both of us. And he didn't know really what to do, so he kind of hustled my sister into the bar, which he knew very well.
Yeah.
He hustled my sister into the bar, said take care of her, and he got in. I assume it was a friend that drove us. I don't think the ambulance would have had him in the front seat, but he was in a car. And I remember lifting my head and seeing blood on his shirt. That was a pretty vivid memory. And I don't think anyone would have told me that. You know, sometimes things aren't, you think they're memories, but it's from someone telling you.
Sure, yeah.
But I don't think that anyone would have told me. So I think it was a memory of just being hysterical and just picking up my head, and there was blood on his shirt. You know, it's things that shock you. I think things that shock you the most, that you stay in your mind. So it was probably around that same time period when I thought I was indestructible, evidently, things that I would never do nowadays that I thought I was very indestructible.
Do you remember when that shifted for you, when you became aware of being hurt or becoming less indestructible?
Good question. Not really. It probably lasted through at least 10 or 11 when I started becoming aware of the opposite sex. I know when I was 10 was a very much still a tomboy age. We lived on Central, and I was very much into bugs.
That's awesome.
I was extremely into bugs, and now it's I run screaming when I see a spider, and I can't believe how much my mom got me one of these bug catcher things, and I would dig under rocks and find centipedes and all sorts of gross things and stick them in the bug catcher.
That's awesome.
And I was totally into bugs at 10 years old. So, at least at that age, so it lasted a few years evidently where I was very adventurous, boyish, tomboyish, and I was probably around, I know at least 11 or 12 years old. We were hanging out with this other family in their church and that garages. I know I've told you about them, and we were close to their family. They had a son my age, they had another son that was my sister's age, so we were close to them, and became more of, I probably became more aware that I was actually female, and I should probably start acting a little more female, and became aware of, what girl, boy type things were.
Sure.
So.
Okay. What did you want to be when you grew up?
The earliest things I remember, what do you want to be when you grow up, that I wanted to be was a veterinarian, because I love animals. They used to have all these movies on, The Wilderness Family. I don't know if you ever heard of those movies. the wilderness family, where a family would literally go out in the wilderness and live in the middle of nowhere, where they were surrounded by wildlife, bears, and I mean, they still have TV shows like that today. People in Alaska, they're still doing it today, where they just want to live in the great outdoors. And it was movies back then, though.
Sure.
Excuse me, Grizzly Adams and Wilderness Family, and they just want to be in the middle of nature. And I thought it was the bee's knees. I thought it was the greatest thing in the whole world. I came home from those movies, and I just, you know, you don't think about the realistic aspects. It's just to be with nature and be with animals, and thought it was the best thing. So I wanted to be a vet. I wanted to have a family and be a mom from forever, from like, you know, a very young age. So those were mainly the two that I can remember that I really wanted to be.
What kind of kid were you?
What kind of book?
Kid were you?
Kind of kid?
Yeah.
I think I was pretty much typical. I think I was kind of, if I had to describe myself, pretty much a nerd.
Okay.
Pretty much a nerd. I liked school a lot, and I got in myself in a lot of situations because I did like school a lot, and kids did not, more or less made fun of me because I liked school, and I got bullied.
Kids are so shitty.
I got bullied, especially like in the 6th through 8th grade. There was a girl that was about 50, 60 pounds more than me, and Tina Palazzolo, who decided that I was going to be set in her sights, and she wanted to have me do her work for her because I was good at it, and if I didn't, then she was going to beat me up and threatened to beat me up after school if I didn't do this and this. And I was bullied for a long time. My mom wanted to go to school. I wouldn't let her go to school because I was afraid of her, because mom couldn't be around all the time.
Yeah.
So I was afraid she would beat me up. But I was mainly like this big geek in school. We were in the religion then, so I wasn't really allowed to be friends with a lot of people. I wasn't allowed to participate in all the holiday stuff, all the outside stuff that most kids were. So I mainly just concentrated on school, and not a lot else. You know, I did very well in school. I learned how to read from a very early age. My dad would read with me before I even went to school, so I learned how to read really early. I was very much a spelling, and I still am a spelling fanatic. I remember being in 2nd grade, and it was me and this other kid. I don't remember his name, Derek Gilbert, and we would win all the spelling bees, him and me. And I did, you know, I was always like super good spelling and reading.
I love that.
In school, so I just did really well in school. So I was just this big nerd, and like I said, just a geek. And kids like going after that. They like bullying kids like that are smart, and they know that you're not going to fight back.
I can relate. I got bullied too. Kids are shitty.
They know when they find a nice person, and they're, you know, that you're not going to fight back, and you're not a tough guy, so they know when they can bully you.
It's unfortunate that we have to go through those experiences to get tough, you know? Because part of me is like wishes that you didn't have to go through that, but I wish I didn't have to go through that, but I also feel like we wouldn't be the tough ladies we are if we hadn't gone through stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, I don't know how much tougher I am now, but I would hope that I would have stood up for myself better. I probably would have done, if I was how I am today,
What was high school like for you? We went to the same high school, J. Sterling Morton East in Cicero, Illinois.
Yeah, high school was kind of just an extended version of grade school. Still a witness, still a Jehovah's Witness, still
Well,
just
I want to touch on that a little bit later, but
still
yeah.
just going to school and walking through my days. I had some friends in school, but nothing super traumatic. I was a little bit more still interested in opposite sex, but couldn't do a lot about it.
You weren't allowed to date?
No, I remember, I think I was like a junior in high school, and there was a guy that was interested in me, and I think I went home and told my mom there was a guy that there's this guy that asked me out, or he likes me or something, and my mom said, what did you tell him? And I probably said I didn't tell him much of anything. Well, you tell him you're not doing it, you're not going. Well, you tell him you're not going, and I was like really disappointed.
How old were you?
I think I was like, he was a year like behind me in school, so I think he was like, I was probably like a junior, and he was probably like a sophomore, so he was probably, I was probably around 16, or we were sophomore, freshman, somewhere around there, 15, I was like 15 or 16. So it's kind of, you have this inner fight, you know, because I didn't have that many people that liked me or was interested in me. So I have had an inner fight, but it is what it is. I thought I was doing, you know, the right thing at the time, so.
I can
Didn't really have a lot of issues with my mom. We didn't really have a lot of problem. We didn't really have a lot of problem until I met your dad. She was not fond of your dad, but that was kind of later on, after teenhood, when I was like 19. So I had my little troubles the older I got as a teen with boys and stuff, and of course she wasn't happy about it. Got called into religious leaders because, God forbid, you know, you aren't allowed to be human. And that was like, I think the hardest thing is you aren't allowed to be human. But I never really had a lot of problem with my mom. I think my mom was pretty super understanding of a lot of things. She tried to be the best mom possible.
What was your relationship to your dad like?
It was good. I have regrets about my dad because I wish I had spent more time with him. I wish I had been closer to him. He was a good dad. I mean, I think I did the best I could. He had a lot of his own interests. He loved his photography, he loved his fish, and there was, you know, only so much that you could do.
He loved his fish?
He loved his fish. He had fish tanks.
Oh, right.
He had his fish tanks, and that was like how he spent his weekends, is like taking care of his fish and gazing at his fish and going to the fish tanks. It was like our big occupations on the weekends to go out to breakfast, and then he would stop at the fish store and maybe pick up 1 or 2 fish, and you know, so I did go to those, so we did spend time on that. We didn't have a lot of chats because we didn't really have a lot of heart talks or nothing, because he was, you know, he was a guy, and I think guys are sort of self-conscious about talking to their daughters about a lot of serious things.
Sure.
I remember one time I did have a fight. I had a fight or something with your dad. I think it was your dad and a boyfriend, and I was really upset. And he did come in, and you know, he was trying to talk to me, and he felt really bad about it, and he did try and make an effort to, you know, console me, which was really nice. Like I said, it was, you know, I have I have no bad feelings about my parents. I think they did the best they could in life.
That's awesome.
That's all you can really expect. We're all human, you know. People can say things about their childhood and how they got damaged and things they feel their parents didn't do. And it's like, you know what, we were all human and we're all making mistakes. I know I did plenty. So we're all human. But I have no bad feelings toward
I think it takes a long time for a lot of people to arrive at that level of peace with their parents. So that's really awesome that you've been able to, make peace with them, because there was a lot of parts of your childhood that were rough too. How do you feel like your childhood has shaped you now? Which we can also you were touching on being in their religion, which is Jehovah's Witnesses, which you were raised in from the age of 5, right?
Right. There's no way around shaping my childhood without touching on that,
Right.
because I was super young when my mom got into that.
Right.
She started that, I think, studying in that when I was 4 years old. So, I think 4 or 5 years old. So I was basically raised in it. I only had, I think, 3 Christmases before she started studying in it, and then we basically cut out all holidays. So it's hard to say that it wouldn't have shaped me. It just kind of became second nature. We were different. We were always different in school. We couldn't.
I can relate to that too.
Right. You know what the deal was.
Please continue describing.
We couldn't say pledge. We couldn't participate in any birthday things. We couldn't participate in holidays. And I mean, of course, it puts you apart, but kids came basically to accept it. I mean, they didn't make a huge deal out of it, but it's bound to shape you because you're not in the same realm as everybody else in the world. Everybody else in the world, they do things differently. They get gifts at Christmas. They get gifts at their birthday. They're allowed to start dating at 15, 16 years old, and it's second nature, for parents who allow their kids to date. And it's a whole different scenario when you're Jehovah's Witness and their main scenario of dating is purpose of marriage, and you're not going to get married when you're 16 years old, so they don't want you dating at 16 years old. So it's a whole nother lifestyle. But
I wanted to just speak to that a tiny bit. I don't want to talk too much about my own experience of growing up as a witness as a small child, but I will say that at the time it was super difficult to start a new year of school and introduce myself to the teacher and let them know, I wouldn't be saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm a Jehovah's Witness. We can't do any holiday stuff. And a lot of them were kind of shitty about it, often, or just I know Nicole, whenever I would bring it up that I couldn't do a thing. But I look back on it now and I'm actually really grateful for that, because I feel it taught me how to stand up for my beliefs and stand up for something that I was told was important, and gave me confidence to be able to talk to an adult about my religious beliefs from a very young age. And it taught me, interpersonal skills and being able to sit in the discomfort of being different. Which leads me to that bonus question of how do you think you got, I'll come back to our other questions, but how do you think you got so lucky with such a creepy girl daughter? It was a bonus question that we asked before we started the interview.
say that again.
How you got so lucky to be blessed with such a creepy girl as your daughter.
You're not creepy. You're just unique.
You're just different. You're different. I appreciate that.
You're just unique. I do have to say that's interesting what you say about introducing yourself at the class and telling them all that, because when I was in school, I don't remember doing that. I don't think they made us like say all that. What I remember in school is we just didn't do it. Like the holidays, the teachers were aware of it. Like my mom probably made the teachers aware of it. And when those things came around, they just kind of excused us. Like if they had parties or something, they just kind of excused us. But we weren't in the situation of having to like stand in front of the class and explain it.
I mean, I don't think I like stood in front of the class. I just would like talk to the teacher after class or like, at the beginning.
Oh, it sounded like you had to.
Not in front of the class, but I would like talk to the instructor like one-on-one on my own. As a small
really?
child. Yeah.
I think.
Well, you guys, I don't know. I think I just like handled it so that it wouldn't be weird when it came up later.
Well, that's good. You were probably a lot more independent than I was. My mom pretty much took over my she pretty much took over my entire childhood and like did everything for me. And she was very hands-on mom, and went to school and just took care of things. So I would say that in a heartbeat that you were 10 times at least more independent than I ever was in probably every aspect. And I can actually feel proud that I raised you that way, at least had a hand in raising you that way, because I have so many fears and so many neuroticisms probably and so many anxieties, and you're more stable and confident that way. So
that's really sweet of you to say.
I can feel
You did raise me.
proud of that part at least. I have always felt that you're more independent than me.
But that's the goal, right? Is that you hope your kid is a little bit better than you are.
Right? Does better in life.
Thanks. When did you realize you were a grown-up?
It's hard to say, in a fun way or in a
Sure.
in a fun way or in a oh my god way.
¿Por qué no los dos? Why not both?
The way I remember is being 19 years old and going out with your dad, who was 4 years older than me, on a date, and we got to drink. We got drinks, and the drinking age was 21, and they didn't question or anything.
You were with cool James.
And I thought it was so super cool, because that's like, wow, I'm a grown-up now, I get to drink. I'm with this like older guy, I'm a grown-up and I get to drink, and nobody's even like hurting me or questioning me, because that's when I actually like felt wrong, because I got to drink alcohol.
That's really cute.
But,
what's the oh my god one?
Probably having a baby was a big one.
Oh my god.
Realizing, like, just holding you probably the first time, like, I'm completely, like, responsible.
Yeah, they give you a kid.
Yeah, they, like, hand you this kid, and you're, like, I'm going home with this thing that I have to be responsible for and keep alive for the rest of its life. Yeah. At least for the next 18 years. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much a shocker for a little bit.
Yeah. What's something you swore you'd never do as a parent but did anyway?
I don't know that I ever really had that.
No?
I don't remember anything. Maybe you do remember something, but
I don't know anything that you had sworn to never do. I don't know.
I usually am not that confident in myself to swear to never do something because,
That's fair.
and not even just with your child, but in anything, because karma can come back to get you, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're doing it and you swore you'd never do it, and it's like karma coming back to bite you.
Sure.
I just kind of always did the best I could,
Yeah.
which wasn't always great.
But it was the best.
We've gone through that when you were a little kid, and I went through a lot of trauma
Yes.
with shit with your dad, and
You can say shit. You can say anything you want.
you
Maybe
know,
not like racist
with
stuff.
so much stuff going on with him, and just feeling really alone and depressed, and
You're
doing
cute.
doing
You're
stuff,
cute.
huh?
You're cute.
Doing stuff that, you know, wasn't necessarily the greatest at the time, but
You were doing your best.
it was the best I could do. You lived through it. You still ate, and you still had clothes, and you still were taken care of. You weren't like, you know, sitting outside in a mud puddle
No, I
ever.
was not.
You were never in neglected.
You were a badass single mom.
I really was for a long time.
I mean, I think when we tried to do this the first time, I remember telling you, like, the older that I get, the more generous and, like, easier it is for me to be more compassionate toward you from my childhood standpoint, because, you know, you had me when you were 26. So at my age now, you had a 10-year-old and you were freshly divorced from my father. And, you know, you were trying to figure out your new life. And it's just, it's difficult for me to imagine myself like having a 10-year-old. Like I'm still figuring out how to take care of myself. You know what I mean? And you were taking care of a 10-year-old kid.
You always just figure it out as you go along. And like I said, and I will reiterate, you were always very independent, and a lot of times you kind of took care of me. A lot of times you kind of took care of me, and you were concerned about me, and you more took care of me than me taking care of you. I mean, you were like super independent, honestly. So, in being a mom, you know, being a parent, you just kind of learn things as you go along, and it just comes to you. It's not something you would have been fine.
What was the hardest thing about being my mom?
Probably just doing it alone.
Yeah.
Your dad went through a lot as you know, when you were a baby, and he was going through a lot mentally, and not being sure. He wanted to be a parent, and wanting a boy, and being sure that you were going to be a boy, and being disappointed when you were born that you were not a boy, leaving the hospital when you were not a boy, and going home, and he was there for a bit, and then he was not, and then he was gone, and you were very, very little, like tiny, and I was there by myself with you, and it was pretty scary, and that was pretty hard to do. So, I mean, that's not a hard question to answer. I think most people have somebody else there to get up at night to be with them, and no, that had to be like the hardest thing, not having somebody else there. But at that time I had people in the religion and friends that were there for me, and they kind of took care of me, and I had a lot of them at that point.
I'm so sorry that you had to go through that.
That's That's what it
It
is.
really upsets me.
What it is. I'm just glad that you came through so well.
What was the best part of being my mom?
There's no good way of answering that question. All of it is the best part. All of it is the best part. I could never fully answer that question. You're amazing. You're wonderful. You're beautiful.
Oh.
There's no good way of answering that. It's all been great. All of it. We've had our ups and downs, of course, but you know, we're always best friends. We're always good. So it's all been great.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry. Was there a specific moment in my life that you didn't know how to handle? And what did you end up doing?
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't want to talk about it,
As long as you want to talk about it,
I don't know.
you're the one asking.
I don't know what you're about to say, I guess.
Well, just a couple years ago, we went through it that I was just sort of confused. You didn't talk to me for a year or so at least.
Yeah.
And I was just confused. I evidently did something to upset you, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was. And we just didn't talk for about a year, and I didn't want to push myself on you, but I was really upset that we weren't talking. And so I just kind of let you be and let you decide when you were going to come back.
Yeah.
And that was kind of all I did about it, was just let you do things in your own time. But I hated that time for us to be apart. But sometimes people need time to breathe and time to realize what they need, and you know, and that happens. Sometimes people just need that time apart.
That's what it was. And then we ran into each other on Madison, I think, right? Isn't that?
Yeah, I saw you over by that store or something when you were walking.
Yeah. What's a favorite memory of yours of me as a child? If you can't think of one, it's okay.
I just think you were always advanced for your age. I remember you being 2 years old and you were doing stuff that probably a lot of kids are doing it like at least 3 or 4, talking as an adult. We never wanted to talk. We never wanted to do the baby talk thing. So we were talking to you as an adult. So you were talking very advanced at that age, and just remember, you know, like dancing in front of the TV and just funny stuff you did. Your dad, I think, remembered a little more than I did. Just, you had a really vibrant personality, and just you were just super smart and just picked up on stuff really quick and learned how to read quick. And I was always just really proud of you, and you learned how to have manners. That was always really important to me, because kids nowadays had always driven me crazy that were so rude, that couldn't even say thank you or please. And when I had a kid, it was like, there is no way that my kid is going to be raised without having manners and learning how to say thank you and please to people, and having respect for other people, and calling people by proper names. And you did all of it, and you learned how to have respect for people, and you grew up being a very compassionate person, more than I could have ever even imagined. Anyone that has talked to me about you has said that about you, how compassionate you are and how kind you are and what a beautiful person you are.
Goodness.
Really. So it's all I could have asked. And that's not all on me, and that's, you've done it on your own, so.
Thanks, Mom. How were or are you able to handle the various choices and lifestyles I've adopted over the years?
Somehow this is coming to be all about you.
It's about our relationship.
The various choices and lifestyles. Some of them have been much more difficult than others. Gone through a lot of various phases. Things with the tattoos, things with shaving your head, things with the crew cut, things with what was that called? With I don't know, something for Jesus where you were hanging off of things and things in your arms. What was that? Super scary and super frightening and...
Sorry, I'm laughing so hard.
I didn't say a word, did I?
No.
I just kind of looked at pictures that you showed me, and inside I was, oh my God, and I didn't say a word about it, and you had to do what you thought was best, and, your various phases as a teenager, remember the first time of your experience wanting to be with a female, and I was not happy about it, but you had to figure things out, as you still have to figure things out today, and I'm still not happy about it, but you're grown up. You were basically a grown up as a teenager, and you were old enough to make your own decisions, and I still feel that way, and I'm still always going to love you, and you have to maneuver through life and figure things out just like everyone does. And it's painful sometimes to see you experience things that you have to experience, but you have to figure things out just like everyone does. And however you choose to do that, that's your choice to do it. I'm not always going to be happy about it, but it's your choice. And I'm always going to respect that choice, as hard as it is sometimes. Like I say, I'm kind of happy that you're past the shaving your head, putting gigantic holes in your back and your arms thing. I'm kind of glad you're past that, but...
I have considered shaving my head again, and I told people that I promised my mother that I would not do it again. So I want you to know that I am actively respecting my promise to you to not shave my head again.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I can't promise I won't do the giant holes thing, but I cannot show you the pictures this time. I didn't realize I'd show you the pictures of that.
You cannot show me why you got rid of them? What do you mean you cannot show me the pictures?
Oh, if I do it again, I can avoid showing you the pictures.
You can avoid it?
Yes.
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
Tell me about meeting my dad and your relationship with him in a, succinct. How many years was it you two were together?
Well, you're familiar with being Jehovah's Witness, and I don't know how much of it you remember, but
yeah, a lot.
We had the weekly meetings, and then they had the assemblies twice a year, which they were like assemblies where multiple congregations met At the time, it was at 79th and Ashland, which very scary neighborhood now, but at the time we used to meet there, and it was like 10 congregations met at once, and it was like for, I don't even know how to describe, how do I even explain it, where people met and they had a whole bunch of talks, and it was like a 2-day thing.
Yeah, it was like a conference.
Yeah, like a conference. Had a whole bunch of talks, and we would volunteer, like when they did lunches and stuff, we would volunteer to work down there. Because that's what they did, you know. Nobody was paid for anything. It was all volunteer, so we would work in food service. So I worked in the food service.
Nice.
And your
I
dad,
didn't know that you worked in the food service part. I don't know if I remember that part of the story. Go on.
yeah, I volunteered along with probably friends, and your dad, of course, was always the cook, so he was working down there, and that's just where we met and just started.
You're like, who is that hot guy behind the line?
I don't know that I necessarily said that.
Okay.
He was like 350 pounds at the time, but I don't know that I necessarily said hot, but he was funny and he had his own charm at that way. And we just started talking, and you know, he asked me out, and it just kind of went from there. And
he was 23 and you were 19.
mhm.
And your parents hated him.
Yep, and yep, and that was like November 1981, and we were originally going to get married like right away, and something happened. I don't know. We broke up for some reason that I can't remember. We broke up for a little bit, a couple of years, I think, and then my dad died, January of '84. And he came over and brought me, I think he called me or came over and brought flowers or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And we started talking again and kind of got back together, got married in March of '85, the year after that. Stayed together 12 years after that. It got really rocky because he just got very unhappy with life in general, got very unhappy with being in the religion, got involved with other people, got very involved with other people.
Was cheating on you. Can I,
If you really want to go there.
I do. Can I bring up the thing that my ex-husband told me that you told him about what Dad did when he found out that you were pregnant with me?
And if you think that that's something that's necessary.
I guess not. If you don't want to bring it up. It's been a very difficult thing for me to realize how kind of a piece of shit Dad was to you.
I think he regretted it later, so if you're going to talk about it, then I think you ought to talk about the fact that before he passed away, that he wrote to me and apologized, and I'm sure that was included in that. He
I didn't know if he did that.
He messengered me or whatever and apologized. So I'm sure in his apology, even though it was years later, that it was probably included in everything.
Good.
But he had a lot of issues. You know,
Well,
he had a lot of issues. Stemming from his childhood. Even though I feel how you're treated in childhood should really not be carried over.
yeah, he never dealt with his shit.
Should not be carried over into your adulthood. But from the time he started dating me, he told me about his stepmother and how she treated him. And it's like, I can understand that it can affect people, but probably should have gone to counseling for it and dealt with it. And he never really did. And it carried over into the fact that he didn't want children. And I did, so that he was not a person that I actually should have married because it ended up being a really bad thing. You know, I got pregnant and he blamed me for it, and it's like somehow you were in the room. Somehow you were in the room. So.
Well, I'm glad you two got together.
You wouldn't be here.
Exactly. I'm sorry that you went through all of that with Dad.
Yeah. It was not a good year. The year I was pregnant with you was not a very good year. Plus going to, after he did all that, and going to Florida with Mom for the 3 weeks, and going to church then, and dealing with witnesses telling me, oh, you should be with your husband. You mean the husband that put his hands on my throat and walked me around the living room and, was so angry with me because I got pregnant? You talking about that husband? You're talking about that husband that I should go back home to.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure I didn't say at the time, but that was all they looked at was, he's your husband and you should be home with him. So I go back home, and then he was there for like probably a week and leaves to go back and cheat a little more. You know how that works.
So fucked.
So I was home alone again until I think he came home when I was close to having you, and then he was home again for a while. And then we were home together a few years, and it was just not good. As I'm sure you remember from your childhood, you just were not getting along well.
Yeah.
Not getting along well, so.
Thanks for sharing all that.
Happier things.
What is your relationship to God and religion now? Because you left the religion in what year?
That would be 97.
97. And up to that point, it had been all you really knew. Your closest friends were in the religion. Your mom was in the religion.
It was. And unfortunately, that's how Jehovah's Witnesses leave you, in this kind of bubble where you're not allowed to have friends outside the religion. You're not allowed to date outside the religion. They don't want you really associating with people outside the religion. So when I did leave voluntarily, I was pretty much lost. Like, what do I do now? Because your whole world is based inside there.
Right.
It was kind of like, what do I do now? But I made it, and I've made it all this time, and I think my relationship with God is good now. I pray to Him every day, and I think it's good now.
Are you kind of doing it your own way?
Doing it my own way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As somebody who's also doing it their own way.
Yeah. And the only way is, once I came out of it, I was able to see like how seriously restrictive and controlling it was.
Right. Do you ever think about going back?
No. I shouldn't say that. I have thought of it, and then I'm kind of like, I could.
Yeah. It's difficult to avoid going back to something you felt like you belonged to,
I just look at it, and there's no way I can't look at it as being something that's coming down from humans, and they make it look like it's from God. That it's totally made to look. There's people sitting in New York, the governing body,
Yeah.
and they're making it look like it's coming from God, but really they're making all the rules for these 6 million people on earth following this religion. Really?
One of the things that bothers me the most about your experience with Jehovah's Witnesses is your blood phobia. Is that still something that you deal with, or is that?
It's actually gotten thankfully a lot better.
Good. I'm glad. It just like, it bothers me that they ingrain something into you so heavily that like you have almost this uncontrollable reaction to it.
I did for the longest time. I couldn't. I had like I'm not even sure what, I forgot what it's called. Like when you're washing things unnecessarily that just touch blood. I forgot what it's called.
But you would like clean, like OCD?
OCD, yes. Like
Okay.
where I was afraid, like if a towel had some blood on it, I would move the towel and be afraid that there might be some on the wall. Like there might be some on the wall, so I had to like literally like wash the wall.
It's better now?
I did that religiously like the longest time. I finally quit doing it, thank God.
That's
It
awesome.
was seriously difficult. It was really
I'm
hard.
proud of you. No, that's huge. I'm proud of
It
you.
was really hard to do. Yeah.
What is the best thing that has ever happened to you? It doesn't have to be my birth.
This is not fair to ask me when you're
I
sitting
already
here.
told you it doesn't have to be me. You're allowed to have a life around.
Not fair to ask me when
You
you're
are allowed to have a life
sitting
around
here.
me. Or it can be both.
You're definitely one.
Thank you. I'm glad you feel that way.
I don't know. It's hard. I haven't felt like a lot of best things happening to me. Honestly, Chris is right now, because I seriously felt like he saved me from this life. So honestly, Chris is right now.
That's wonderful. I love that. What was the most difficult situation you've been through, and how did you get through it?
Are we almost done?
Almost, actually. Almost. It has not yet been an hour. But yes.
It's
only a
really,
few
it
more.
feels like about 10.
You're doing great, sweetie. You're doing great.
The most difficult situation, like in my entire life or recent life or what?
You can, I don't know, it's your question to answer, but probably ever. You can also
There's a lot of
pass. I don't know.
There's a lot of
Yeah, you're badass.
I went through several with your dad. I mean, a lot of them. Like, bad one with your dad was like coming home and him doing his own surgery with his diabetes, and him doing his own surgery on his feet, and blood everywhere on the floor, and coming home from work to see blood everywhere on the floor from his doing surgery on himself.
Oh, James.
You know, being 3 months pregnant and him coming over and him discovering I'm pregnant and coming over and putting his hands on my throat and then putting his arm around my shoulder, yanking me up and walking me around the living room, screaming at me, yelling at me because reminding me that he did not want children. You know, those were some pretty bad, difficult experiences.
What is something you've learned about yourself in the last 6 months?
Last 6 months.
Yeah. I don't know, you've been weightlifting. You've been losing weight. You've been sticking to a diet. I would say You're learning how to take better care of yourself and to put yourself first. It's my suggestion.
I think this is true.
Okay.
Just trying to take care of my health. I have just seen people that let their health go out to shit. And I'm just trying to do things to take care of my health so that maybe I can live a little longer.
If you could redo any period of your life, which one would it be and why?
You might not like my answer.
Having your kid?
No, I wasn't going to refer to that, but it's involved.
Yes and no.
Definitely,
James.
definitely my 20s.
Yeah.
Definitely my 20s. But if there was a way to keep you and redo the 20s, just sort of do the time warp and keep you and redo the 20s and just leave him out of it. I am sad that my whole 20s got like wasted on him.
Sorry.
And a good portion of my 30s too, actually. I wish that I had walked away a lot sooner, or even, even walked away from him when I had the opportunity. I still could have salvaged a good portion of my 20s. So even doing that and kept you, so I could have even done that. So yes.
I can relate to that. I spent a good amount of my 20s with my ex.
They always say hindsight is 20/20.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Florida.
I love that. What happens when we die?
Wow, you're really trying to go deep here, aren't you?
You said to ask the things that I want to ask. So I'm asking.
How do I know what happens? I've never died.
That's true. What do you think happens?
What would I like to think happened, or what do I really think happened? Because I grew up.
Oh, you believe in hell still?
Not hell.
No.
I grew up all around the Bible and being ingrained in my head that nothing happens when you die. That you go to sleep and the dead are conscious of nothing at all. That was ingrained in my head forever. Nothing happens. You're asleep. The dead. Da-da. The end of everything.
Duh.
What would I like to see happen? What people for centuries have believed. The good go to heaven. That everyone goes to heaven and gets another chance.
What's your favorite color?
Thank you for an easy one for a change. Magenta.
Magenta. Has it always been magenta?
For the longest time, as long as I could.
Why is it magenta?
Because it's bright and happy, and a combination of pink and purple.
Cute. What's your favorite food?
I have a tough one. Probably. It used to be chicken, and it used to be a point where I could eat chicken like every single day, but I'm kind of chickened out, especially since being on a low carb diet. I eat chicken, like so much chicken, like puke.
So much chicken.
I love steak, and a really good steak that's cooked really well with some butter on it and some garlic is an awesome.
I need to cook for you.
You
also like pork belly.
Is an awesome, beautiful thing.
I know that.
I do love pork belly. I do still love ice cream, and if you handed me a big old honking thing of like a rainbow cone, I couldn't turn it down. I do still love ice cream. Even though I'm trying to lose weight, I do still love ice cream. So there you go.
I don't know if...
Oh, and cannoli cake. They had cannoli cake on my birthday. Cannoli is one of my favorite flavors ever. I cannot leave out cannoli. Cannoli dip is...
I need to learn how to... I need to make cannolis. I've never made cannolis. I'll make you cannolis. Maybe I'll do that around Christmas.
I will just take some...
Where I pretend to be Italian.
Cannoli dip.
You don't even need the shell.
Just the cream is like...
I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this because I don't know if you're into music the way that me and some other people are, but one of the questions I've been asking everyone is, what are 3 albums? If you could only listen to 3 albums for the rest of your life, what would they be? We're almost at the end. We're so close.
I'm not sure I remember the names.
That's fine, do your best.
Probably the original Daughtry.
Okay. The original Daughtry album. Okay.
Probably the original Rob Thomas.
Like Matchbox 20 or Rob Thomas on his own? Solo.
Probably Matchbox 20
So
because he goes way back.
The-
I like them both. I like him on his own and I like Matchbox 20.
But if you had to pick one, that's the challenge.
If I had to pick one, I do like Rob Thomas.
And then what's your third one?
An album. Oh man. You make my life rough.
You can pass on the third one. I don't want to hurt you. Don't hurt yourself. And my last question is...
Oh, thank God.
Oh, sorry. 2 other questions. Second to last. What's your favorite memory of us together?
Of me and you?
Yeah. She's so over it.
Probably Lake Geneva. We went to Lake Geneva like in 2009 together.
Okay.
We went probably just going on vacation together by ourselves and just being alone and, you know.
Me and you? Grandma didn't go? It was just me and you. When I had this shaved head, or did Grandma go?
No, it was just me and you that year.
I remember.
I think we went with Grandma before, but just me and you.
That was a fun time. We had a good time. We have to go on vacation again.
We should.
Okay, last question. For real.
Are you sure now?
I'm positive. What is something you wish people better understood about you?
People probably have to answer it.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just not as shallow as I seem.
Okay.
Maybe I have
You think
more,
people think you're shallow?
maybe I just have more depth than what I look like to begin with.
Okay.
You know, I have more intelligence, I have more vocabulary, I can have some really good conversations, I can have some really good, that's what I believe, I can have some really intelligent conversations with people if they give me the opportunity.
No, you're very smart and you're very interesting and you're also funny and you're very kind and caring and I can understand you wanting people to like be able to kind of get to know you a little bit better beyond what they're assuming is to be the case based on your appearance, I guess, right?
Exactly, and I like always wondered why women like shy away from me. Like I've never really had women friends as an adult, like close women friends, and I've always found it like very odd and weird, like when women shy away from me. And I think I would be a really good friend if people would give me the opportunity, and they don't. So I find it very.
I've always kind of gotten along better with men though. Like I have.
Well, so have I.
I have a couple of close female friends like Gabby and Karina, and like I have Tracy. So I guess I have a few female friends, but by and large, I feel like I've always gotten better along with men.
I also can say the same, that I get along better. It feels like women are either jealous or they have something to be suspicious of, or it's weird though. It's like can't really, nobody, I have like put myself out there with certain people, like if you want to go to dinner, I have put myself out there and they never really take me up on it. And I've always found it odd. I think if people took the time to get to know me, then I could be a really good friend.
Well, maybe when people see this interview,
they'll call me up and knock down my door.
People will be lining up to be like, let me be that lady's friend.
Oh, sure.
Thank you very much, Mom, for your time. Thank you for opening up and for your candor. And I really appreciate you taking this seriously and answering my questions with much consideration.
You're welcome.
I love you. Can I have a hug?
And don't lose this one.
Come here. Give me a hug. Come here. Give me a hug. I appreciate you.
Okay.
Mwah.